Hi, I'm Harold Bell, and this is the Legends of Inside Sports and the Way We Were. Today we're going to travel out to Indiana and talk to one of my favorite people. You know how some people wear a lot of hats? Well, some of the hats don't fit, but all the hats that this guy wears, they fit. I mean, he's a minister, talk show host, writer, um, gangbuster, you name it. He's been around a long time and has respect of everybody that he comes in contact with. I tell you, I am so happy that we were able to hook up and he's become a regular here on the Legend of Inside Sports. And I'm talking about none other than my friend, Mr. Mike Ramey. Good morning, Mike. How you doing?
Oh man, trying to get these raindrops out here in Indiana. I think the raindrops are so big because IU is crying because they lost last night.
Wow, wow. Well, Mike, well, Mike, we got a lot of things going on all around the country, and one of the things that's a hot topic that everybody's talking about President Donald Trump meeting with students and some of those parents who were caught up in that Parkland massacre by that young 19-year-old. President Trump decided to invite him to the White House and sit down and talk with them. And I think you got an earful, man. What? How did you see that going, Mike?
I saw the fact that President Trump sat down and talked with them live. I wouldn't say talk. He did more listening than talking. And he knows what time it is. And the reality is that ever since the shootings in Las Vegas, it's been real sensitive as far as the Second Amendment issues. So I thought it was productive. I thought it was classy. It showed that the young people have some sense. They were respectful. They didn't pull half of the garbage on the president that they pulled on CNN. Basically coming out. But we have to be aware that there's Soros money attached to all this stuff. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to get the young people to motivate their parents to turn out to the polls in 2018 over one issue. And the reality is that the issue that they're talking about is not the issue. The issue is that, and let me break it down this way. Barney Fife is not going to shoot Opie. Let's be clear about that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Barney Fife, and I'm using the Mayberry scenario. Yeah. Barney Fife is not going to shoot Aunt B. Barney Fife is not going to shoot Opie because Andy's standing right there watching him.
Mm-hmm.
See, now, if these school shooters were black or Hispanic, they would have run in there like a linebacker going after a tackling dummy. They would have just went to town. But you'd have more cops that were trained with weapons and veteran cops, and they were afraid to go in here and shoot it out with Opie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the issue. The issue is this. They know where these mentally handicapped or mental health problems are. They know who they are. And most of them are not black.
Right.
I used to teach school. Every school has a list that's updated regularly as to what kids are emotionally handicapped, mildly mentally handicapped. School corporations make millions off these kids. And they know week by week which kids are which kids. Now, they're trying to slide a lot of black and Hispanic kids into that just to keep the money flowing. Mm-hmm. But the real issue is the schools knew about this kid. Who let this kid into school mean, they had said in the news that they had 39 police runs to this kid's house. And Coach, if he would have been of color, they would have had him down on the ground after the first show up.
Right.
But see, and I hate to break it down to race, but all of the stuff 40 years ago that they brought into inner city schools, metal detectors, cops with guns, all that stuff. Now, 40 years later, the next generation, now they have to deal with it. The white folks have to deal with it. And again, when you mistreat somebody, it eventually comes back to bite you.
Right.
Inner city schools are safer now than suburban schools.
Right.
And again, they will not do at a suburban school what they'll do at an urban school. There's no metal detectors. There's no cops inside patrolling. There's no place. Cops can't come pick them up, et cetera, et cetera. So this whole school shooting thing, as more and more come out, you are not going to have Barney Fife shooting Opie in a school. It's just not going to happen. Now, again, and I'm going to say this, and I know some folks going to get upset, but let them get upset. If the shooter was of a darker hue, that empowers some police to go in there and start blasting away. They would take on an AR-15 with a penknife if the suspect were black.
Mike, that is a great analogy where you laid that out, taking it back to Mayberry with Opie and Andy and them, because you're absolutely right. I find it appalling, man, that you got armed security guards, policemen that will refuse to go into the school, man, and face the shooter. And this is their job. This is what they're paid to do. But you got a teacher inside who puts himself in front of his students, and he dies for these kids, man.
Not just a teacher, Coach.
A coach, yeah, that's right. A coach, man. That was
a coach.
That
shield his students, and nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about the fact that 4 of the kids that were killed were JROTC kids. They don't talk about this stuff. They want to put a narrative in to take the guns away and say, well, we need to trust government. Well, now you've got 4 cops that are cowardly, and the sheriff himself was under investigation for corruption. And this is the suburbs.
Yeah.
This is Mayberry. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's sad, but what they would not do to protect our kids a generation ago is coming back on them. Like they say, God don't like ugly, and He ain't too thrilled with pretty.
Yeah. Well, we're talking to Mike Ramey out in Indiana. You see that smiling face behind me, right there next to Hank Aaron and all Paul Robeson and under Jim Brown. That's my friend Mike Ramey in Indiana, and we're talking about these shootings that are going on in our suburbs, and our kids are being taken away from us. I've always been an advocate of kids. I don't care black, what color they are. Children are that's one of our most valuable assets is our children, man. Our children are our future. But the way things are going and the way I see things now, we are talking about suggesting arming teachers in our schools. Our teachers are not there to be security guards. That's not why they went to college. They went to college to get an education so that they can reach back into the community and help other young people. We're talking about putting, giving teachers Glocks, how are they going to react to a shooting? You understand? When our cops don't even know how to react to these shootings. So I think it is a sad scenario when we're talking about arming teachers. And then if you arm teachers, when the real cops show up, how are they going to identify the teachers from the bad guy? if they go, they rush to school, and there's a teacher in there with a firearm. Guess who's gonna get shot? That teacher with the firearm, because he doesn't have on a uniform saying I'm a teacher. I think that is ridiculous, Mike.
Oh, I think that if you go back in the day, back in the '60s when I was in school, elementary school, junior high school. Look, that was just the beginning of when I call liberal creep started coming into education. That's when after they took God out of the classroom in '62, then they took the authority of the teacher out of the classroom roughly in '68.
Right.
There was a time every teacher. I'm a spill out my age here, but I can remember the time that every teacher in the school was armed. They were armed with a little piece of lumber called a paddle.
That's right. That is right. I know that.
And whether they were white, black, Hispanic, tall, short, male, female, everybody had a paddle in their classroom.
That's right, man. That is so true. And it was needed.
If you cut up, you got it.
Yeah.
You in school and you got it at home. And it's the problem is that we don't give our teachers what they need, which is respect and authority.
Right. Amen.
And we kick God out of school. We say we don't want God. Now we've got some of these Hollywood idiots saying, well, we don't want prayers and sympathy. Okay. And you don't want prayers and sympathy, and the people that usually call for that usually are the ones that are going to need it down the road. But that's another story for another day. Yeah. But still, when Miss Smith told her class of 25 to get in their seats, get their books out, and get ready for the lesson, she had a yardstick, she had a paddle, and she had a hotline to the principal's office so they could come and get the unruly student out of the classroom.
Right.
Now you've got teachers leaving the profession in droves because there's no support, there's no security. If you do a disciplinary action on a student, you have to fight the student, the parents, the administration, because you can only have so many expulsion days burned in a semester. And a lot of teachers, a lot of the older teachers have retired. They say, hey, we don't need to do this no more. I got my pension. I've done my 20 years. Leave me alone. And again, back in the day, every teacher was armed. They had a paddle. They had a ruler. They had the respect of the students. You even had the students policing the other students for them. Especially if the teacher was a coach for the PE department, it's like, you can't cut up in the classroom, then go out for football or basketball, because the coach be sitting there looking dead in your face and saying, I'm not going to let you on my team because I know you with disciplinary problem and I know you a knucklehead. Mm-hmm. So again, I hate to get off the wall on this one, but like you said, cops are trained, white cops especially, are trained to shoot black.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mike, hold it right there. Let me give you a good example of that, man. Just recently, a couple of years ago, there was a black woman on Capitol Hill. We don't know what the problem was with her, but they chased her down in a car. She had her kid in the car. She had no gun. She ended up dead. On yesterday at the White House, there was a white woman who crashed the gate with a gun in her car. They pulled her out without firing a shot. So what you're saying, man, the evidence is there. I mean, it's there. They shoot this black woman with her children in the car, or kid, kill her with no gun, but this white woman, and they knew about her. Just like they knew about this kid in Parkland. They knew about her. And she crashed the gate, man, and they pulled her out of that car without firing a shot. So something is definitely wrong there. And those of us who say, oh, y'all always want to use the race car is there. You're seeing it every day. And we don't want to see cops shot. I know I don't. My brothers were in law enforcement. 25 years as a U.S. Marshal, my older brother, and a 14-year D.C. cop. And they had to fight racism on the police department with the code of silence and the thin blue line, which is still there, trying to be good cops. So I'm saying, man, I've been out in the war zones for 50 years, much like yourself, Mike, and we know what the real deal is out there. Racism is still there. We got to find a way, man, to support our kids. Now the kids are talking about taking to the streets, Mike. They're taking to the streets. They're leaving class, going down to their representatives and saying enough is enough. And it was, I think the Bible says that. Now I'm not a Bible toting guy, but the Bible says a child should lead us. And look like they're getting ready to lead us, Mike.
Yeah, but you got to keep in mind though. Look at the color of the kids that are walking out of class.
Right.
If they were black or Hispanic, there would never be this much attention paid. But you've got Johnny and Sally Saddle Shoes taking time off from school to go and get politically active. Now, we know that they can't vote. They're not old enough to vote. And what was really sad about the last election process is that a lot of these Hollywood figures, even Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick shot his mouth off, but he wasn't even registered to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how are you gonna lead and inspire people if you don't even take part in the process? The process ain't perfect, but you still got to take part in the process in order to have a seat at the table.
Right.
You also got to be willing to take the slings and the arrows. One of my all-time favorites is Jim Brown. Cleveland Browns saw Brown play. Okay, when I was growing up, we used to beat the Steelers like you were beating a steak to get ready for dinner.
Right.
And but look, Brown took his lumps, and when they had that summit, that picture that's in Google of Jim Brown, Muhammad Ali, and a couple other black athletes basically standing up telling a white power structure no, they were willing to take their lumps. You know, these little white kids running around the street protesting this, protesting that, and they still hate the black kids that are right across the street from them.
Yeah.
See, what folk don't want to admit is that you can date black, you can play black on a sports team, but you can even marry black. Look what happened to Tiger Woods. But you will never be black, and you will never understand black. You can have empathy, but all the stuff that's going on now, those of us who have worked with youth like you and meeting other people, it's like, what took y'all so long? They've been shooting our babies in the street for 40 years.
I'm telling you, Mike. I'm telling you.
And look, I got family members that have carried a badge and still carry a badge. I've carried a badge. And everybody that I know that's carrying a badge is black. One of the things that they really worry about is whether they're a cop, probation officer, parole agent, is am I going to have Barney Fife open up on me just because he sees color and doesn't see this badge?
That's right. That's for real. And and you're talking about Jim Brown, and that's a coincidence because I never even told you that I was going to play this piece by Jim Brown, but I want you to hear this few minutes with Jim Brown that back in like 1990, and we were talking about the state of the black community. I want you to hear what Jim has to say.
All right.
It's 462-3313. You want to talk to Jim Brown? I got a comment. Call here, and we're here with Jim Brown. Jim, You made a statement just now, man. I tell you, it's really fantastic. People were so concerned about Tom Landry being fired from the Dallas Cowboys, and their heart sorrow went out all over the country. I mean, I heard black guys say, "Man, they should have never treated him like that." Here, this guy was in the league 29 years, and you know a lot of the history of that team and how black ball players were treated. But also, Jerry Jones said, "I don't see how you guys people can feel sorry for a guy who's out there making $825,000 a year. I'm still paying him." But Tom Landry, that kind of thing disturbs me. The Washington Touchdown Club called him here and put him in the Hall of Fame. And he and Pete Rozelle are two of a kind.
Well, actually, what you have is this whole Christian syndrome. Tom Landry is a Christian man, and he carries himself in a certain way and has a wonderful image. But where's the compassion? Where's the human aspect of Landry? There was none. I mean, Bob Hayes, a great American, not given the opportunity to make the transition from professional ball into regular life. Pete Rozelle, manipulator. It's understandable because we allow it. We don't take care of our own.
Yeah. And Dwayne Collins is another good example, another friend of yours.
Dwayne, wonderful human being, but a lot of times, it's our fault. You see, we can talk about the Toms, and that's honest, but can we talk a second about ourselves?
Yeah.
Where's our support system for each other? Why don't we clean up our communities? Why don't our successful blacks come back and pool their monies and not have any corporate boss? Until we come to ourselves collectively, they're always going to be the Tom Landrys, because what they're going to say is, if you don't take care of your own, why should I take care of them?
Right.
All right, that was Jim Brown. We don't take care of our own. And, it's a shame when people say, well, Harold Bell knocks this person, Harold Bell knocks that person. When you had personal contact, up close and personal, when you knew a guy that didn't have 2 pennies to rub together, and you mentored him, or you had a guy come in your town, had no clue, he go on to become the first black to win a Super Bowl, quarterback to win a Super Bowl, or another guy becomes the first $100 million a boxer in the history of the sport, that you mentored, that came under you, or you got a guy that wins his first national, first black to win a NAACP basketball, NAACA basketball championship, the first black, and you gave him airtime when nobody else would give him airtime. And all these guys go the other way, make like they have forgotten all about the community and how you put them in place. Yeah, we got to look out for our own. And yeah, in order for me to have become a pioneer, a trailblazer, you know what that took? That means I had to make some sacrifices for those who are now benefited from those sacrifices. And they go look at me cross-eyed. Are you kidding me? No, of course I sacrifice financially, but also it's about reaching back and helping others that you once resembled. I once resembled those same guys who had nothing. I resembled I remember my middle school principal telling my mom on the 3rd visit, you ain't got to worry about Harold. He's not going to live to get to high school, because I was going to hell in a hurry. But there was somebody who grabbed me, like my coach Dave Brown, like my coach Big House Gaines at Winston-Salem. I didn't make it by myself. I understood that. So when I reach back to help others, I'm trying to pay my grandmother, my mother, Coach Gaines, Coach Brown. I'm trying to pay them back, man. I'm trying to say thank you, because we need to say thank you, man. None of us make it on our own. So that's what it's got to be all about. And Jim said it right. Even though Jim has changed up now, it's all about the dollar bill to him. But when you see guys like James Brown, like the Michael Wilbon, we should be able to look each other in the eye and deal with each other with the truth, man. We should not take on the characteristics of the oppressor, as so many of us have already done. Mike, you got it.
That's what the Bible says. You're not supposed to take on the characteristics. You're not even supposed to envy the oppressor. You're not supposed to even want to truck with the oppressor. But you got black folk today figure that, well, I got an iPhone and I got a job and I got white friends and this, that, and that makes me white. No, it doesn't. Remember Paul Mooney? You know that name?
Yes, I know. He's a comedian. Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor. He wrote for Richard Pryor.
Right. Paul Mooney was like, for Richard Pryor, was like Petey Green was for you. Okay?
Right.
And Paul did this bit a few years ago, and I still remember it. And to remember it is to cherish it, because Paul laid it out quick. He said that sometimes it takes black folks to get what they call a nigga wake-up call, reminding you that you are still black in this country. Now, it happened to Tiger Woods. It happened to Oprah Winfrey. It happened to Michael Jackson. And folk need to realize that yeah, I'm a minister. I preach the gospel, but I also look at Bible prophecy and I look at society. And we as a black people are so fragmented, and that's exactly what the devil wants. The devil don't want us to come together.
Oh, yes,
because
no doubt.
when we come together, there's power. When Magic Johnson came together and started negotiating Starbucks franchises in the inner city, he was a threat. When Bill Cosby tried to buy NBC, he was a threat. And when Oprah announced she was going to have her own network, she was a threat. But systematically, they've been neutralized.
Right.
That the same thing with Jim Brown. Jim Brown has been neutralized basically out of fear, and he's been neutralized out of the fact that he's gotten older. See, when we get older, we're supposed to get bolder, not weaker.
Yeah, that's right.
Sometimes I got to slap myself every once in a while to remind myself that just because I'm going up the hill at a steeper angle, I'm not giving up on. I'm not giving up on being classy. I'm not giving up on speaking my mind and speaking truth. And young people today, young black folk today, want to hear their elders speak truth. It's not enough to be old and be an elder. See, you can be old all you want, but that don't mean you know anything.
Right.
You have to have some wisdom. You got to have some grit, and you got to keep on persevering. Like the first black health director here in Marion County said it best. He said, "We have to keep jumping rope, whether or not anybody ever asks for us to jump."
Yeah, Mike. The NRA seems to facing some backlash from the companies that sponsor them. And I'm thinking, is this going to have a ripple effect being hit in the pocketbook? Is this going to be a wake-up call for the NRA, Mike?
No, because they got plenty of money. If the NRA was black, they'd be broke.
They'd be broke, right. They would be broke. Well, Mike, I look behind me and I see all these black folks that made the sacrifices, man. We talking about pioneers. We talking about Muhammad Ali up there. We talking about Paul Robeson. We talking about Jim Brown. We talking about Red Auerbach. We talking about Hank Aaron, Jack Johnson. All these people made sacrifices. They became a success. And when I think about that, a lot of us, like I sit here because some white folks reach back and help me, And that's why I always say that every black face you see is not your brother. And I know that for a fact. And every white face is not your enemy, man. So when I see people like Bert Sugar and Red Auerbach and Angelo Dundee, Richard Nixon, I say, man, come on, man. We are one. That's got to be it, man. We got to help each other. And if we don't, it doesn't look like, man, it look like we're going to perish.
Yep. Yep. It's like one old Negro League baseball player said it best. He said only the ball was white.
Only the ball was white. Ain't that something? And Mike, as we get out of here, let's take a look at what's happening down there with Indiana. Indiana's on a Pacers on a 5-game winning streak. I think they won last night.
Yeah, they're on a four-game winning streak. I think they must have stolen a page from the Wizards playbook.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the Wizards are hustling backwards, man. I said this at the beginning. I think they got the firepower to reach the playoffs, but man, they don't have. They're soft in the middle, Mike. They don't have anyone in the middle. I'm talking about we need somebody like a traffic cop, like Bill Laimbeer, Rick Mahorn, Maurice Lucas, or Charles Oakley. They don't have anybody in the middle. In fact, LeBron James just took advantage of him the other night and almost pulled that game out in Cleveland because they were out there acting like traffic cops, man, as he was just taking the ball and going, telling everybody else get out of the way. I'm going to the basket, and they were not able to stop him. The Wizards have to come up. They just brought a guy in that's 6'2", or a guard or something. They need to go out there and find themselves a gorilla. If they're going to bring somebody in for 10 days, go out there and find yourself a gorilla that's 6'9", 260, that can stop those folks from going to that basket whenever they feel like it. And that's what happened when they lost last night to the Charlotte Hornets. They just beat the Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets come into Capital Arena, and they weren't even in the game, man, because they were out there dribbling the ball and going to the basket, giving up too many points in the paint. Until they get a guy 6'9", 6'10", 250 that's a gorilla and say, you're not coming in here. If you come in here, you're going to pay the price. And then, of course, we got the referees, too. The Wizards does not have a home court advantage when it comes to the referees, man. So they got a ways to go. And until they get out there.
They'll get there because they're making better strides than the Knicks and the Nets.
Oh, there's no doubt. No doubt.
Look, the Pacers, once they got rid of Paul George, they started playing better because they got rid of that Hollywood stardust in their eyes and got back to work.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's one thing, Mike, you hit on something there. That's one thing that I'm hoping that my man John Wall learns from being on the sideline, that he doesn't have to be the go-to guy all the time. He got so much talent that if he goes out there and be a great assist man, which he can be, there's no doubt about that, he can give up the ball and play more team ball because evidently the pieces are there, and he's watching that as he sits on the sideline. So hoping that the Wizards will go out and get a 6'10" gorilla, somebody to patrol that middle, and I think if they stay healthy, man, they're going to be in good shape. Mike, as always, man, thank you.
It might not be this year, but it's going to be the next 3 years.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they're going to win the NBA championship. No doubt about that. But they got the pieces, man, to have an impact in the playoffs, and I think that's what it's all about. Then as you make it in the playoffs and you build toward that championship, they get ready to celebrate 40 years of 1978 when the Wizards won the NBA championship with Wes Unseld and Elvin Hayes and that crew. So they're not going to get back there, man, unless they make some changes. Hey, Mike, as always, man, great having you here. We went over a little bit, but I think we needed that. And looking forward to our next conversation, man.
All right, well, you take care, and like they say, just go right ahead and keep on building them Wizards for the future, because what goes up must come down, and what goes down must come up.
All right. That's Mike Ramey in Indiana. And until next time, I want you all to remember that every black face you see is not your brother, and every white face is not your enemy. And let's really start making children first. That's what it's all about. Until next time, I'm Harold Bell, and you can color me gone.